There is a wealth transfer happening right now. Not in the future, not eventually, right now, while you're watching this video. And the people who understand what is happening are quietly positioning themselves to receive it. The people who do not understand it are about to fund it. Solomon documented this transfer 3,000 years ago. He named the exact economic conditions that trigger it. He identified who loses. He identified who wins. And he encoded the survival protocol in a single chapter of Proverbs that almost no financial teacher has ever read correctly. By the end of this teaching, you will know which side of this transfer you are on and exactly what to do before the window closes. A prayer of positioning awaits you at the very end. Stay until we get there. First, understand what a wealth transfer actually is. It is not a theory. It is not a prediction. It is a documented historical event that repeats with mechanical precision every generation. A wealth transfer is the systematic movement of accumulated resources from those who do not understand the season they are living in to those who do. That is it. That is the entire mechanism. It is not about intelligence. It is not about hard work. It is not about who deserves it. It is about who read the season correctly and who did not. Right now, several forces are converging simultaneously that have not occurred together since 1971, since 2008, since 1929. Central banks have printed more currency in the last 5 years than in the previous 50 combined. The purchasing power of the dollar has declined at rates not seen in 4 decades. Interest rates have moved faster and further than at any point since the Federal Reserve was created. Commercial real estate is quietly collapsing in ways that are not yet visible on mainstream headlines. And an entire generation of people, most of them sitting exactly where you're sitting right now, have their entire financial lives structured for a world that no longer exists. They are holding savings accounts that yield less than inflation. They are paying mortgages on properties that are beginning to reprice. They're depending on income streams that technology is systematically eliminating. They are one layoff, one medical bill, one rate adjustment away from a forced liquidation of everything they spent a decade building. This is not pessimism. This is the season. And Solomon taught you how to read seasons. Proverbs 13 verse 22 does not read the way most people think it reads. Most people hear this verse as encouragement, as comfort, as a warm promise for the future. Read it as economics. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. Solomon is not writing poetry here. He is describing a transfer mechanism with 2 parties, a sender and a receiver, and a qualifying condition for each. The sender is the one who violates the boundaries God established for money, the one who overextends, the one who borrows beyond capacity, the one who hoards without deploying, the one who ignores the season. The receiver is the one who operates inside covenant boundaries, the one who maintains liquidity, the one who positions during abundance for the scarcity that is coming, the one who does not panic when the transfer begins. Now look at the 7 documented transfers in Scripture and in history. Transfer 1. Egypt. Joseph reads a 14-year economic cycle, 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. He stores 20% of every harvest during the fat years. When the famine arrives, Egypt does not lose wealth. Egypt becomes the only place where wealth exists. The surrounding nations bring their gold, their silver, their livestock, eventually their land and their freedom, in exchange for grain. Egypt does not take it by force. The unprepared voluntarily surrender it to survive. Transfer 2. The Exodus. When Israel leaves Egypt, they do not leave empty-handed. Exodus chapter 12 records that the Israelites asked the Egyptians for silver, gold, and clothing, and the Egyptians gave it to them. Scripture says they plundered Egypt. This was not robbery. This was a transfer, a 430-year accumulation of injustice settling its account in a single night. The positioned received. The unprepared surrendered. Transfer 3. Solomon's reign. Every surrounding nation brought tribute to Jerusalem. 1 Kings chapter 10 says that all the earth sought the presence of Solomon, bringing gifts, silver and gold, robes, weapons, spices, horses, and mules. Solomon did not conquer them. He outpositioned them. His wisdom, his trade infrastructure, his naval fleet created a gravitational center that pulled wealth from the periphery to the core. Transfer 4. Babylon. Jerusalem ignored 70 years of prophetic warning. The wealth accumulated across 3 generations was carried out of the city in a single season. Those who had embedded their identity in assets, they could not carry lost everything. Those who understood that skills, knowledge, and covenant relationships were the only truly portable wealth, survived and rebuilt. Transfer 5. The fall of Rome. The early believing community positioned itself as a network of mutual aid, shared resources, and collective resilience. When the Roman economic system collapsed, the church inherited the infrastructure of an empire because it had maintained a parallel system that did not depend on Roman stability. The stock market collapse transferred enormous wealth from leveraged speculators to those holding cash. Joseph Kennedy famously said he knew it was time to exit when the shoeshine boys started giving him stock tips. He liquidated before the crash. He bought during it. The transfer moved wealth from the over-leveraged to the liquid. Transfer 7. 2008. The housing collapse transferred real estate from over-leveraged homeowners and banks to those who held cash and understood the repricing that was coming. Investors bought foreclosed properties at 40 and 50 cents on the dollar. The wealth did not disappear. It transferred. Do you see the pattern? The mechanism is identical every single time. Abundance creates complacency. Complacency creates overextension. Overextension creates fragility. Crisis reveals fragility. The fragile surrender. The positioned receive. Solomon documented this not as prophecy in the mystical sense, but as the observable law of economic gravity. What goes up beyond its foundation must come down. And when it comes down, the wealth does not vanish. It moves. Where in the world are you watching this right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. This teaching is reaching people on every continent, and I want to know you are here, because what comes next is the part most people will never hear anywhere else. Solomon did not simply document past transfers. He gave his son, and through the text, he gives you a diagnostic framework for identifying when a transfer is in motion. There are 3 signs. All 3 are present right now. Sign 1. The borrower multiplies. Proverbs 22, verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. When an entire society becomes structurally dependent on borrowing, when governments, corporations, and households all simultaneously carry debt loads they cannot service at normalized interest rates, the entire system becomes a transfer mechanism waiting to trigger. The United States currently carries more than $34 trillion in federal debt. Global debt has crossed $300 trillion for the first time in recorded history. Corporate debt is at levels that are only serviceable at near-zero interest rates that no longer exist. Solomon is watching this from 3,000 years away, and he is not surprised. He wrote the diagnosis in Proverbs 22, verse 7. When the borrower multiplies, the lender is preparing to collect. And the collection event is the transfer.